Friends, welcome back. This is Buhari's full speech, the one he made to mark Nigerian 59th independence. Dear compatriots, October 1st of each year is an opportunity for us to reflect and thank God for his endless blessings on our country. It is also a time for us to collectively to remember the sacrifices made by our founders and great leaders past, by soldiers, by distinguished public servants, by traditional leaders, by our workers, sacrifices on which Nigeria has been built over the 59 years since independence in 1960, and rededicate ourselves to attaining the goals which we have set for ourselves: a united, prosperous, purposeful nation in the face of 21st century opportunities and challenges. In the past 4 years, the majority of Nigerians have committed to change for the better. Indeed, this administration was re-elected by Nigerians on a mandate to deliver positive and enduring change through maintaining our national security, restoring sustainable and inclusive economic growth and development, and fighting corruption against all internal and external threats. This change can only be delivered if we are united in purpose as individuals and as nation. We must all remain committed to achieving this positive and enduring change. As I have stated 4 years ago, change does not happen. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office and public trust. Simply put, to bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens. Security, good governance and economic development cannot be sustained without an enabling environment of peace and security. In the last 4 years, we have combated the terrorist scourge of Boko Haram. We owe a debt of gratitude to our gallant men and women in arms, through whose efforts we have been able to achieve present results. We are also grateful to our neighbors and allies within the region and across the world who have supported us on this front. The capacity of our armed forces to defend our territorial integrity continues to be enhanced by the acquisition of military hardware, as well as continued improvements in the working conditions of our servicemen and women. The Ministry of Police Affairs have been resuscitated to oversee the development and implementation of strategies to enhance internal security. My recent assent to the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Establishment Act has created a legal framework to support our police with increased fiscal resources to enhance their law enforcement capabilities. These initiatives are being complemented by the ongoing recruitment of 10,000 constables into the Nigerian police force. This clearly demonstrates our commitment to arrest the incidents of armed robbery, kidnapping, and other violent crimes across our nation. We remain equally resolute in our efforts to combat militant attacks on our oil and gas facilities in the Niger Delta and accelerate the Ogono cleanup to address long-standing environmental challenges in that region. The recent redeployment of Niger Delta Development Commission from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs underscores our commitment to enhance the living standards of our communities in the Niger Delta through coordinated and appropriate programs. If you're just joining in, kindly take a moment to tap on that subscription button if you have not done so, and also the red notification icon bell is very important, so you'll be notified whenever new videos are uploaded. It went further to say, our attention is increasingly being focused on cyber crimes and the abuse of technology through hate speech and other divisive materials being propagated on social media. Whilst we uphold the constitutional right of our people to freedom of expression and association, where the purported exercise of this right infringes on the rights of other citizens or threatens to undermine our national security, we'll make firm and decisive action. In this regard, I reiterate my call for all to exercise restraint, tolerance, and mutual respect in hearing their grievances and frustrations. While the ongoing national discourse on various political and religious issues is healthy and welcome, we must not forget the lessons of our past, lessons that are most relevant on a day such as this. The path of hatred and distrust only leads to hostility and destruction. I believe that the vast majority of Nigerians would rather tread the path of peace and prosperity as we continue to uphold and cherish our unity. Accelerating sustainable and inclusive economic growth. This administration inherited a skewed economy where the oil sector comprised only 8% of gross domestic product, but contributed 70% of government revenue and 90% foreign exchange earnings over the years. Past periods of relative high economic growth were driven by our reliance on oil sector revenues to finance our demand for imported goods and services. Regrettably, previous government abandoned the residual investment-driven non-oil sector, which constituted 40% of gross domestic product and comprised agriculture, livestock, agro-processing arts, entertainment, mining and manufacturing activities that provide millions of jobs for able-bodied Nigerians and utilize locally available raw materials and labor for production. To address this imbalance, our commitment to achieving economic diversification has been at the heart of our economic strategies under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which I launched on 5th of April 2017. This medium-term development plan charted the trajectory of our economy to exit from recession and return to the path of sustainable, diversified, and inclusive growth for Nigerians. Pursuant to these reforms, the economy has recovered and we have had 9 successive quarters of growth since our exit from recession. The exchange rate in the last 3 years has remained stable with robust reserves of USD 42.5 billion from $23 billion in October 2016. Learning from the mistakes of the past, this administration is committed to responsibly managing our oil wealth endowment. We continue to prudently save our oil income and invest more in the non-oil job creating sectors. In this regard, we are significantly increasing investment in critical infrastructure. Last year, capital release only commenced with the approval of the budget in June 2018. However, as at 20th June this year, up to 1.74 trillion naira has been released for capital projects in 2018 fiscal year. Implementation of the 2019 capital budget, which was only approved in June 2019, will be accelerated to ensure that critical priority projects are completed or substantially addressed. The Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning has been directed to release 600 billion naira for capital expenditure in the next 3 months. To maximize impact, we shall continue to increasingly welcome and encourage private capital for infrastructural development through public-private partnerships. Through the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme, which I initiated in January this year, we are giving incentives to private sector inflow of over 205 billion naira in 19 Nigerian roads and bridges of 79.4 kilometers across 11 states of the Federation. As we push to diversify the economy, we will remain focused on optimizing the revenues generated from the oil and gas sector. We will work and keep working with the legislators soon pass the Petroleum Industry Bill and amendments to the Deep Offshore Act and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act into law to ensure government obtains a fair share of oil revenues while encouraging private sector investment. We will also continue our fight against illegal bunkering of crude oil and the smuggling of refined petroleum product across our borders, including the diligent prosecution and conviction of offenders found guilty of this act. Whilst Nigeria remains committed to free and fair continental international trade, we will not hesitate to take all necessary steps to tackle illegal smuggling, transshipment, and other predatory trade practices that destroy jobs in our country. We are resolute in reforming the power sector. In August this year, we launched the Presidential Power Initiative to modernize the national grid in 3 phases, starting from 5 gigawatts to 7 gigawatts, then 11 gigawatts by 2023, and finally 25 gigawatts afterwards. This program, in partnership with the German government and Siemens, will provide end-to-end electrification solutions that will resolve our transmission and distribution challenges. The program will also look to localize the development and assembly of smart meters, as well as operations and maintenance capabilities of transmission and distribution infrastructure. I am pleased with the improved inter-agency collaboration between the Ministry of Power and the regulators in the banking and power sectors to ensure that electricity sales, billings and collections are automated and become cashless. These initiatives are important to ensure that the technical and collection losses in the sector are substantially reduced. I remain confident Nigeria will have affordable and uninterrupted electricity supply in the not too distant future. Our efforts to improve the power sector will complement other infrastructure investment projects under the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, which is investing in the Mambila Power Plant project, as well as key economic road infrastructure such as the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Second Niger Bridge, Abuja-Kano Expressway. The first set of these projects remain on track to be completed by 2022. Our journey to food security and self-sufficiency is well underway. We have made remarkable progress in almost all segments of the agricultural value chain, from fertilizers to rice to animal feed production. We shall sustain these policies to ensure additional investments are channeled, thereby creating more jobs in the sector. We must not go back to the days of importing food and thereby exporting jobs. Our commitment to achieving microeconomic stability and economic diversification has been underscored by the merger of the Ministry of Finance with the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. This combined ministry has the important mandate to enhance the management of domestic and global fiscal risk, coordinate policies with the trade and monetary authorities, raise and deploy revenues to fund budget expenditure, and integrate annual budget and medium-term fiscal strategies. With this, our revenue generating and reporting agencies will come under such greater scrutiny going forward, as a new performance management framework will reward exceptional revenue performance, while severe consequences will attend failures to achieve agreed revenue targets. I recently constituted an economic advisory council to advise me on inclusive and sustainable microeconomic fiscal and monetary policies. This independent body will work with relevant cabinet members and the heads of key monetary and fiscal and trade agencies to ensure we remain on track as we strive for collective prosperity. However, we are also committed to ensure that the inconveniences associated with any painful policy adjustment is moderated, such that the poor and the vulnerable, who are most at risk, do not bear the brunt. Our ongoing 500 billion special intervention program continues to target these vulnerable groups through the homegrown school feeding program, government economic empowerment project, Empower Job Creation Program, loans for traders and artisans, conditional cash transfer to the poorest families, and social housing scheme. To institutionalize these impactful programs, we created the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, which shall consolidate and build on our achievements to date. To the beneficiary of these programs, I want to reassure you that our commitment to social inclusion will only increase. Our population growth remains among the highest in the world, presenting both challenges as well as opportunities. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that we provide adequate resources to meet the basic needs of our teeming youth. Accordingly, we shall continue to invest in education, health, water, sanitation, as well as food security to ensure that their basic needs are met, while providing them with every opportunity to live peaceful, prosperous, and productive lives. Fighting corruption and restoring good governance. On fighting corruption, our institution now reforms to ensure the Treasury's single account policy, introduce the whistleblower initiative, expand the coverage of the integrated payroll personnel and information system, as well as the government integrated management information system, have saved billions of naira over the last 4 years and deterred the rampant theft and mismanagement of public funds that have plagued our public service. The Ministry of Justice, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will continue to address these menace. We are determined to ensure that transparency and good governance are institutionalized in public places and service. We must commit to installing a culture of good governance in all we do. This administration has fought against corruption by investigating and prosecuting those accused of embezzlement and misuse of public resources. We have empowered teams of prosecutors, assembled detailed databases of evidence, traced the proceeds of crimes, and accelerated the recovery of stolen funds. Furthermore, we partner with our friends abroad to combat tax evasion, smuggling, terrorism, and illicit financial flows. In June 2018, I assented to the Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act to provide a domestic legal framework for obtaining international assistance in criminal matters. This measure has already strengthened our law enforcement and agencies in obtaining evidence, investigating suspects, and facilitating the recovery, forfeiture, and confiscation of property implicated as proceeds of crime. An example is a US $300 million recently identified as part of the Abacha money laundering case. Working closely with the government of the United States of America, the Federal Ministry of Justice is working with the U.S. Department of Justice to conclude a memorandum of understanding to expedite the repatriation of these funds. The P&ID arbitral award has underscored the manner in which significant economic damage has been caused by the past activities of a few corrupt and unpatriotic Nigerians. The policies that we are putting in place today are to ensure such criminal and unpatriotic acts do not go without consequences. Our renewed partnership with the 9th National Assembly will facilitate the swift passage of enabling laws that will institutionalize this anti-corruption effort in our criminal justice system. In this connection, I call upon our states to intensify their own efforts to instill greater fiscal transparency and accountability, and to ensure greater fiscal efficiency and optimum use of our very scarce resources. The blight of corruption is fighting back. Nevertheless, this is a battle that we shall see through, and this is a war which we shall win by the grace of God. I will also call upon all Nigerians from every walk of life to combat corruption at every turn by choosing to question and confront corrupt practices, by reporting unethical practices, or through whistleblowing. Together, we can overcome corruption and will no longer be a country defined by corruption. Fellow Nigerians, let me reiterate my call for unity across our dear nation. Nigeria will emerge from our present challenge stronger and more resilient than ever, but only if all of us join hands to entrench good governance, foster inclusive economic development, and defend and protect our nation from all those who wish us ill. I thank you most sincerely and wish you a happy Independence Anniversary. May God bless you all, and may He continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is the speech of Buhari, the president, and this is what he has to say. So what's your take about this? Let us be that in the comment section below, and may I remind you once again, tap on that subscription button. It's very important, so you'll be notified whenever new videos are uploaded. Thanks for stopping by.